Good morning, everyone. Uh, we have today with us CA R.R. Modi ji, who is a chartered accountant by profession and practicing IP, handling various cases. He is also a visiting faculty for St. Xavier's College and the alumni of Xavier's. Along with that, he is a past president of ACAE, the esteemed organization where I am right now General Secretary, and I have learned a lot under his leadership and presidentship. So, without any further delay, we have 105 delegates. I request Modi ji to start the session.
Thank you, Vivek, for your very kind introduction. And SK Agarwal and Company is very close to my heart, let me tell you. I mean, I know most of you. I mean, I know Vivek personally very well. I know Hemant and obviously my Guruji, SK Agarwal ji, and everyone. And friends, we all know these are very trying times. And it's really a very good initiative to come out with such a plan to utilize the time fruitfully to learn something. I mean, I'm told that the entire SK Agarwal and companies, I mean, including their students, article students, everyone is joining this program. And I've been told that, I mean, I really don't know whether IBC is currently in their syllabus or not. But even if it is not in their syllabus, it's a good initiative, laudable initiative. I mean, to make the student know about the IBC provisions in a basic format. So, friends, without wasting any further time, today is a very auspicious day of Akshaya Tritiya also. So, so it's a nice initiative once again, and thanks to Vivek and SK Agarwal and Company for giving me this
अक्षय
opportunity.
तृतीया है इसीलिए आप आज ही आए हैं
No doubt.
जवाई को घर अक्षय तृतीया के दिन बुलाया जाता है तो
Friends,
दूर से बुला लिए हैं.
To be informed, he is also son-in-law for elder brother of SK Agarwal ji, Sandeep ji के जिया जी हुए.
ठीक है. थैंक यू.
या मैंने अक्षय तृतीया है जवाई जी जब आप नाम यूज किया ही है तो चलिए आई कैन एक्सपेक्ट सम लिफाफा एटलीस्ट एट दैट. So I mean, well, all in the lighter vein. Now, friends, I mean, IBC. I mean, let's come to IBC. I mean, what was the word in India before IBC? I mean, IBC came into effect in the year 2016, December 2016. But what was the position before that? So, if somebody goes insolvent before 2016, before the IBC came into force, so there were two acts which were in force in India during that period of time. And those acts are not fully repealed as on today, still in force so far as the individual bankruptcies are concerned. But those two acts are Presidency Township Insolvency Act 1909, which was in vogue in Kolkata, Mumbai, and Chennai. And then there was another act for the rest of India, which is called the Provincial Insolvency Act 1920. That was applicable for rest of India. So any insolvency proceeding before this IBC was taken up in these two acts mainly. And there were other acts also, like we know all, there was the SKA Act 1985. There was the Recovery of Debt Due to the Banks and the Financial Institution Act of 1993. We have the SARFAESI Act. And then we have the Companies Act, then we have the Civil Courts. There were plethora of forums where the lender, I mean, where the lender could approach or the borrower could approach, I mean, anyway. I mean, since there were multiple forums to, I mean, look into this insolvency angles, none of the forums were really very effective. In fact, what was happening, the lenders were approaching one forum, the borrower was approaching another forum to get the proceeding stayed. So in the result, nothing could really happen, and the proceeding used to drag on for years together, even for 10 years, 12 years, 13 years. So realizing this situation, government thought of, why don't we have a law which is focused, and all these different laws, which are either it is SICA or is Recovery of Debts Due to the Banks or SARFAESI Act, Companies Act, or even these two insolvency acts, which I just mentioned. Why not let us merge all these acts together in one law, in one single law? And there will be only one single authority which will be dealing with insolvency matters. So that there will not be any, forum swapping. I mean, nobody can use multiple forums to vitiate the main intention of the act. So, keeping those aim in mind, the Insolvency and the Bankruptcy Code 2016 was announced. Now, friends, sorry. Now, keeping these, yeah,
Sorry.
yeah,
Continue, sir.
that's all right. Yeah. So, keeping this now, friends, if you remember, I mean, earlier when there was a BFR era, everyone of you must be aware that BFR proceedings were going on. The purpose of the BFR proceedings was to find a resolution to the stressed company. I mean, the company which was in stress, in the financial distress, to find out a resolution for that. The purpose of the BFR. But during the BFR, the entire control of the company used to vest, I mean, was with the management only. So it was the debtor, I mean, the company itself, the corporate debtor itself, who was in full control of the company. And he was able to maneuver the situation in such a way that, I mean, firstly, he used to take long number of years. And secondly, he used to get a package which is very much, I mean, suitable to him only. I mean, so it was only one-way friendly. It was not a lenders friendly regime. So, I mean, and then we know, I mean, earlier there were the CPC. I mean, people used to resort to the Civil Procedure Code. I mean, apart from these acts, and they used to obtain a stay and all these things. So it was ultimately everything was under the control of the debtor itself. Now in the IBC, the main control has shifted from debtors to the creditors. The lenders, at the moment the IBC proceedings are triggered, these are, I mean, it is lender who gets the control of the entire organization. So uh, now, having discussed the main thing about the aim of the Insolvency and the Bankruptcy Act, why this act is not called act, why it is called code. I mean, this is called the Insolvency and the Bankruptcy Code 2016, as we all know. So, what is the purpose of calling it a code? Code means something is codified here. There are many legislations, and all of them have been codified here. The spirit of all of them, I told you there are plethora of laws before IBC. Now, everyone have been discontinued in one way or other, right? And spirit of all those acts have been put into only one act. That is why it is called code. And it has come into force in December 2016. Now, there have been, since 2016, there have been multiple amendments to the act, very, very rapid amendments, keeping the emerging and evolving situation. I mean, let me tell you, Insolvency and the Bankruptcy Code is one of those, I mean, examples, is one of the example of a living jurisprudence. I mean, and the authorities and the government also very proactive in addressing the problems which are arising in the due course of time. The law is evolving. And now let's friends start with the purpose. What is the meaning of word insolvency? Does the insolvency means bankruptcy? Are these two terms synonymous? No, these two terms are not synonymous. Insolvency is the state of a person when he is unable to meet his commitments. There is a debt is payable, debt has become due and payable. But the company is not, or the person concerned is not able to pay its debt. He is unable to pay his debt. This state of being inability to pay a debt is called the state of insolvency. So here he might be that he's temporarily unable to pay. It might be a short-term problem or it might be a long-term problem. In India, we have a concept that even if there is a default, here we are getting into a concept of default, a debt which is due and payable, and it is not paid on time. So even if there is a single day default, the Insolvency IBC code can be triggered. So might be that it is a very short-term phenomena, or might be a 1 day, 2 day default, could be any reason. I mean, because I mean the company is a very sound financial position, but there is a 1 day, 2 day default. But still, strictly, I mean, speaking legally, as per the IBC provisions, even a single day default can trigger the IBC proceedings. Now we have all understood now the insolvency and the bankruptcy are two different things. Then what does bankruptcy mean? Bankruptcy, I mean, when the company becomes insolvent, it is unable to pay its debt, then first there should be an attempt to revive the company, to find a solution that how this stressed situation can be de-stressed. And after, I mean, the resolution is found out, assuming, I mean, first there will be full attempt, complete attempt to find out a solution. And once the solution is found out, then the company is revived and the company is rejuvenated. If no solution is found out, then the company or the entity concerned or the person concerned is heading for either liquidation or bankruptcy. So if it is an individual case, in that scenario, we call it bankruptcy. If it is a non-individual case, in the sense if it is a corporate entity, corporate person, which can be a limited company, a private limited company, or it can be even limited liability partnership also. In any of these situations, in case of a corporate person, we call it a liquidation, and in case of an individual, we call it a bankruptcy. So bankruptcy or a liquidation is a state or a stage which comes after insolvency. So these are both are not similar words. Both do not occur simultaneously. First, there is a stage of insolvency. It might follow with a stage of bankruptcy or liquidation. It's not necessarily that every insolvency proceeding will result into bankruptcy or liquidation. This is the first thing which has to be kept in mind. Now, IBC is a time-bound statute. It's a time-bound everything. Everything is given that you have to complete this particular event within a particular time frame. Now, the entire process of insolvency, the entire IBC code have been divided. I mean, to tell you in a broader way, since it is a lecture basically on the broader aspect of it, the entire IBC proceeding have been divided. I mean, let me put in this way, divided into two parts. One is which is related to insolvency, and another which is related to bankruptcy. Now, regarding insolvency, again, there are two parts: insolvency relating to the corporate person and insolvency relating to the individual and the partnership firms, right? Similarly, the bankruptcy part or the liquidation part have been also divided into two portions, one relating to the corporate personalities and another regarding the individual and the partnership firms. Now, as far as, let us first talk about the corporate persons, then we will take up about the individuals also. And when we'll be talking about the individuals, we will be talking in a nutshell about the guarantors, personal guarantors also. Now, as far as the companies are concerned, now in company, the company is called a corporate debtor. In IBC, we use the term company as a corporate debtor, which is a debtor which owes debt to someone. Now, the company can owe debt on account of finance. Somebody has given a loan to the company at a rate of interest or without any rate of interest. I mean, it could be anything. It could be interest-free loan also. So the company might have financial creditors. Company might have operational creditors. Operational creditor means those who have supplied goods or services to the company, right? So any of these persons can file or can prefer an application under IBC code. Now, friends.
भैया आपका कोई प्रेजेंटेशन है क्या, वो आप शेयर भी कर सकते हो ना स्क्रीन में, सब देख पाएगा.
The point is,
कोई बात नहीं, ठीक है, समझ गया. तो अपना वीडियो चालू करिए.
No, but I am doing it. I am doing it from mobile, but the presentation is then I have to disconnect for a while and then reconnect from my laptop.
अगर प्रेजेंटेशन है तो आप कनेक्ट कर लो, कोई इशू नहीं है.
अच्छा, let me do the overall briefing.
अपना वीडियो चालू कर लीजिए, मोबाइल से अपना वीडियो चालू करिए. अपने आपको देखे तो सही, बहुत दिन हो गया.
मोबाइल से मेरा वीडियो चालू है, बट
नहीं वीडियो
इट नॉट
नहीं है. मैं आपको रिक्वेस्ट भेजता हूं. ओके,
योर वीडियो इज स्टॉपिंग. ओके, स्टार्ट माय वीडियो. आई एम सॉरी. या
अब दिख रहा है. अब बोलिए.
फोन नहीं, एक्चुअली इट स्टार्टेड इन द बिगिनिंग.
अब सुनिए, फोन को है ना घुमा दीजिए, ये कर दीजिए, हॉरिजॉन्टल मोड में कर दीजिए, ज्यादा स्पेस मिलेगा हम लोग को भी. हॉरिजॉन्टल करेंगे तो पूरा स्क्रीन में आएगा.
एक I don't know where my screen is.
फोन को घुमा दीजिए, खाली फोन को घुमा दीजिए, हम लोग आपको देख पा रहे हैं.
Yeah, I could see.
हो गया. फैंटास्टिक.
Is it okay?
एकदम फैंटास्टिक भैया.
Okay, done. Now I will share the screen later. I mean, or I can share this PPT video also later. You can keep it. I mean, since it's a broader aspect, I'm not into a particular PPT. I'm not into a particular PPT. I mean, since it is basically for the students, so I mean, for the article student, they must know what is all this insolvency all about. So the point is, I was talking about the insolvency resolution process of a corporate person. Insolvency resolution process of a corporate person, strict timelines are given. I was talking about there are financial creditors to the company, there are operational creditors to the company. Now, if there is a default on the due date, then those two persons, I mean, any of these two persons can file application under IBC 2016. Now, point is, what about the government dues, the income tax dues or the GST dues or any government statutory dues, whether these are operational creditors or these are financial creditors? It has been very clearly spelled out in the IBC code itself that the government dues, any statutory dues is an operational creditor. Now, what about home buyers? I mean, we all know there are big housing projects going on all across India, and they have been defaulted by all the real estate developers. So, what is the condition of a home buyer? Home buyer has not given any finance; they have given rather an advance for buying a flat, right? So, but there have been a very specific amendment to the IBC Act subsequent to its promulgation, and it has been specifically mentioned that home buyers are now also put under the category of the financial creditors. Now, friends, what is the advantage of being in the category of the financial person? I will come to it later on. Now, once the financial creditors or operational creditor finds that there is a default, they can trigger IBC. Now, question comes: can the company, after realizing that it is in a very dire financial status stage, can they themselves refer suo motu and approach for the IBC proceedings, finding a resolution to the crisis? Yes, they can also do it. So now we have come to a conclusion that either the creditors of the company, he can be a financial creditor or an operational creditor, or the company itself can file an application under IBC. Now, before which authority the application is to be filed? It is only one single authority, which is called the adjudicating authority, National Company Law Tribunal. National Company Law Tribunal is only adjudicating authority here, where these applications are preferred. Why I use the word application? I don't use the word petition. I don't use the word suit. It's not a suit. It's not a money recovery suit. When somebody is filing any application under IBC, it is not a money recovery suit. This should be very, very clear. I mean, people are still confused that okay, IBC में लगा दो पैसे मिल जाएंगे. Money recovery is a byproduct or a side product of the IBC proceeding. The purpose of filing an application before the IBC is that this company is in financial distress. They are not able to pay its debt. So let us try to find out a solution through the intervention of the court. And the management of the company goes away from the existing management, board of directors or the promoters. And the moment the IBC starts, the management of the company, the entire control of the company gets into the hands of the creditors, financial creditors, not the operational creditors. I will come to it later on. Now, this is the aspect about, we call it application, and NCLT is the only adjudicating authority. If somebody is aggrieved from the order of the NCLT, then they can approach the superior forum, which is called appellate authority, which is NCLAT, National Company Law Appellate Tribunal. So anybody is feeling aggrieved from the order of NCLT can always approach NCLAT. Now, if somebody is aggrieved from the order of NCLAT, then where does it go? It straightway go to the Supreme Court. There is no High Court in between. So we have three layers. First is NCLAT, first is NCLT, then there is NCLAT, and then there is Supreme Court. It has been very clearly mentioned that jurisdiction of any civil court is ousted so far as the IBC proceedings are concerned. I mean, this similar provision is there under the Income Tax Act also. If suppose you are going for an income tax scrutiny, income tax officer is harassing you, and can you go to the police station and file an FIR against him? No, you cannot. Can you approach any district court or any high court for these harassment or these things? No, you cannot. Similar provisions are there in the IBC also. Jurisdiction of all civil courts are ousted. So there is no jurisdiction of the civil courts. There is no jurisdiction of any high court. Right? But as far as the writs are concerned, writ petition, right? We know there are 5 types of writs. So if as far as writs are concerned, since that right to file a writ arises out of Constitution, and Constitution is the supreme document of India. So those right of filing a writ cannot be taken away, and anybody can file at any point of time any writ with any high court, with the jurisdictional high court, or with the Supreme Court. depending on the case-to-case basis. So, I mean, writ jurisdictions are not out, but the normal jurisdictions of the civil courts are out, so far as the IBC proceedings are concerned. Now, friends, how the proceeding really operate? Now, the moment you file an application, moment of financial case, suppose the financial creditor is a bank lender, and there are two types of financial creditors. One category is the secured financial creditor, who have the security interest, and one category is those who are unsecured financial creditors. And third category is like person like home buyers. I mean, this is called a different class of person, home buyers, who are many in numbers. I mean, 10,000, 1,000 like that. So this is another category of the person. Now, as far as the wages, laborers, and other operational creditors are concerned, these are not financial creditors, they are operational creditors. Now, the moment an application is filed before the NCLT, which is called adjudicating authority, then NCLT will examine I'm talking about the scenario where the financial creditor is filing an application before NCLT. NCLT will examine whether this is really a debt, genuine debt, and debt has become due and payable, and there was a default on the due date when it becomes payable. Only these three things will be examined by NCLT. If it is satisfied that there is a default for a debt which is due and payable, and it is a financial debt, then it will admit the application. The moment it will admit the application, the IBC proceedings starts. So if somebody asks what is the date of commencement of corporate insolvency resolution process, because we are discussing this thing in the context of a corporate person. So this process is called corporate insolvency resolution process, CIRP. So the moment when does CIRP starts? It starts from the date of admission of the NCLT order. Now, after the NCLT while making this order also gives two other things, two other instructions or two other orders in the same order. It writes in the order that from today, there will be a complete moratorium. What do you mean by moratorium? Means nobody can file any suit against the company. Neither any existing suit can be proceeded with. So what is the purpose of declaring this moratorium? Purpose is that the company is put into a calm period, cooling period, calm, absolute calm, so that nobody is disturbing the company, and the corporate debtor will be able to find a solution to his crisis in a very peaceful environment. Right. So along with the CIRP admission, there is an order for moratorium. And third, now I told you that the moment IBCs are triggered, the management goes away from the hands of the existing promoters and directors. Then who manages the company during CIRP? There is a separate class of person, now which again I call is a professional opportunity for we chartered accountants. Right? Chartered accountants have been given this new professional opportunity in the IBC code, wherein apart from being a chartered accountant, you can also become a qualified insolvency professional, and you can not necessarily that you should do your practice as a chartered accountant only. You can continue, you can start your practice as an insolvency professional only, or both of them. You can do simultaneous both the practices, right? So if you are a qualified insolvency professional, then the court will appoint you to run the entire show of the company, and you are called the insolvency professional as per the IBC. Now, initially the court appoints an insolvency professional for only an interim period of 1 month. So that is why the initial appointment of insolvency professional is called interim resolution professional. He is only for an interim period of 1 month. After 1 month, a regular insolvency professional will be appointed, and then he will take the process on till it is finally complete. Right. So what is done? What is the duration of the CIRP period? Within 180 days, the entire CIRP process has to be completed. Now, if you are not able to complete, complete the process of CIRP within these 180 days, then what will happen? You can apply for another extension of 90 days. One-off extension. There cannot be multiple extension. There can be only one extension of 90 days. So altogether, you will have 270 days to find out a resolution of the company, which is the only purpose of CIRP. Right. Now the company, the existing management is suspended, board of directors are suspended, the insolvency professional takes charge of the company, all the assets of the company will be not vested in him, but will be under his control and custody. Right. Without his instruction, nothing will move. Even the board of directors will have to report to him. Board of directors will have to follow his instruction. If any board of director or any member of the director is not cooperating, then he can refer this matter to the NCLT, which is an adjudicating authority, that the management of the erstwhile management of the company is not cooperating. Please issue necessary directions. Now, how the things are started. The moment the CIRP application is admitted, the court also instructs, in addition to the appointment of an interim resolution professional, also instructs IRP to make a public announcement make a public announcement to the entire world in the two leading newspapers by making it in two leading newspapers, one in English and one in the local language, vernacular language, where the activities of the companies are carried on. And by virtue of this public announcement, the IRP, interim resolution professional, invites the claim of all the creditors of the company within 14 days. So 14 days time period is given, within which anyone who is to receive any money from the company on any account will file a claim with the company, will file a claim with the IRP, and then what the IRP will do? IRP will collect all these claims. He will collect, mark the word collect. He is not an adjudicating authority. He will not send it to the chair of an adjudicating person and decide, no, your claim cannot be 1 lakh rupees. Your claim, I will settle it for 50,000 rupees. Like there is a quality dispute. No, you can't do anything. If there is a claim of rupees 1 lakh from a person and the same claim is appearing in the books of the person, then obviously his only duty is to collect the claim and not to perform the role of an adjudicating authority. After having compiled the claim, he will prepare a list of all the creditors of the company. Right. Incidentally, I will tell you one more thing. If somebody is not able to file his claim within this period of 14 days, will he be debarred to file a belated claim? No. He can still file the claim till the 90 days, I'll tell you, till the EOI is floated. Tell you what is an EOI, expression of interest, I will come to it later. Now, after this list of creditors is prepared, there will be two parts in the list. One is the financial creditors and another is the operational creditors. Now, he will form a committee of creditors which will run the entire show of the company during this CIRP period. Now, this committee of creditors will comprise only of financial creditors, whether secured or unsecured. No operational creditor will be part of COC, Committee of Creditors, right? The moment he constitutes a committee of creditors, he will inform to the adjudicating authority that I have constituted committee of creditors, and these are the person who are the secured, who are the financial creditors, and they are the members of the COC. Question comes, can the erstwhile directors of the company, erstwhile management, the directors of the company, are they part of COC? No, they are part of the COC only in the sense that they can attend the meeting of the COC, but they have no voting right. They have no say. They will participate. Whenever anything is asked to them, they will inform the COC that how this thing to be done, or what is the detail of a particular event or transaction or anything. But they have no say. They have no voting right. Voting right rests only with the financial creditors, right? Now, what is the share? How the voting rights are determined? Voting rights are determined in proportion to the individual claim as compared to the total amount of the claim. Suppose during this, when the claims are being filed in pursuance to the public announcement, there are 100 rupees, which is the total amount of claim which have been filed with the IRP. Now, out of 100 rupees, there are 5 creditors, financial creditors, A, B, C, D. 5 financial creditors. 100 rupees is the total amount of claim filed by all the financial creditors. A has filed a claim of rupees 20. So A's percentage of voting right will be 20 divided by 100. I mean 1/5, right? So I mean 20%. So this is the way the voting rights are certain, and as per this voting right, any agenda which are there are to be passed in the committee of creditors. Now, committee of creditors, I mean, will run the show as a going concern. Even if the insolvency is triggered, let me tell you that the operations of the companies are not stopped. The company will continue to run as a going concern. It is the duty of the insolvency resolution professional, interim resolution professional, or the resolution professional to continue the show as a going concern. Now, to continue the show as a going concern, he needs the uninterrupted supply of electricity. He needs the uninterrupted supply of the essential items of the goods and services. Now, how will he get it? Because the moment everybody knows that the company is into CIRP, nobody becomes interested in supplying the essential goods and services. Even the electricity companies will be reluctant because already they have a huge outstanding and they do not want to load themselves with further debt. Now, what happens in this scenario? Supreme Court, in one of the first landmark decision in the IBC proceeding, in the case of Innovative, has come out with a decision that essential supplies cannot be disrupted. And even if there are long outstanding to the electricity company, right, they will file a claim for it. And for the current running period of CIRP, they cannot stop the electricity supply. They will have to supply the electricity, and the IRP or the RP, whosoever is, I mean, he will have to make the payment only for the current supply, not for the past dues. So these have been made clear. This is there. This was there in the law, but the Supreme Court had made the intention of the law very clear in the Innovative case. Now, after the COC is formed, now supposing there could be a situation where there are no financial creditors in the company. There could be. There are only operational creditors in the company. Now, how the COC will be formed here? Here the COC will be formed of the operational creditors only. In such a situation, the COC will be formed of the top 20 operational creditors only. So this has to be kept in mind. If there is only one financial creditor, then the COC will comprise of only that sole financial creditor. But if there are no financial creditors, then the COC will comprise of operational creditors, right? But suppose the COC have been constituted of the operational creditors, and later on, some financial creditor files a claim belatedly with the IP or IRP or the RP, then in that situation, the constitution of the creditors will change, the COC will change, and again, all those operational creditors will be out, and that 1% or 2% who have filed the claim belatedly, they will become part of the COC. Now, question arises, suppose this erstwhile COC, which was comprising only of operational creditors, they have already taken certain vital decisions. Will those decisions will be binding when the financial creditors are becoming part of the COC? Yes. Any decision taken, I mean, by any COC, by a valid COC, will be binding on any reconstituted COC. COC can continue to be reconstituted. Voting rights will keep on changing as and when the belated claims will be filed, right? So, I mean, but any decision taken, I mean, prior to any reconstitution is, I mean, is binding and legal. Now, the point is, after this COC have been constituted, I mean, we have understood the COC can be, I mean, first is COC will be of financial creditors. If there are no FCs, then it can be of OCs also, operational creditors. This aspect is clear. Now, let us come to that. Now, the second aspect of the second duty, I mean, I told you in the beginning, the courts appoint an insolvency professional for 1 month, and it is termed as interim resolution professional because he is appointed for an interim period of 1 month. Right. Now, after 1 month, in this meantime, the COC is constituted. Now, this COC, in its first meeting itself, will decide whether they will continue with this IRP as a regular insolvency professional, or they want to have some different person instead of this interim insolvency professional. If suppose that COC decides that they will continue with the existing IRP, then this IRP will become RP. RP means resolution professional. The word entering will get removed. So If the COC, again I repeat, if the COC decides that they will continue with the existing IRP and a suitable resolution is passed and the copy of that resolution is filed with the NCLT, then this IRP becomes RP and will take on the process of CIRP further till its final conclusion. But if the COC decides that no, they want to appoint somebody else in place of the IRP, then they can suggest the name of another person, another insolvency professional, and they will submit a petition and application to the NCLT that we want to have this Mr. X in place of Mr. Y, and the court will do accordingly. But this resolution of the COC to remove an IRP with a new RP has to be passed with a minimum voting share of 66%. 66% is the value in shares, not number, right? I have already explained to you that these voting rights are with respect to value, not with respect to numbers. Generally, all the COC decisions are taken by 50, by more than simple majority. It means more than 50%. But certain resolutions, like the appointment of RP instead of an IRP, like the passing of a resolution, passing of a resolution, approving a resolution plan, these are passed with a resolution of 66%, right? There are certain types of resolutions which are passed with a majority of 75%, which is called, suppose, if the COC decides that there cannot be any resolution to the company, then they might decide that the company should straightway go for liquidation. Now, this sort of resolution requires a majority of 75%. So how many types of percentage we have? 50%, which normally applies in all the cases. Then we have 66%, which are in certain specific cases, including Section 28 cases, right? Then 75%, which I told you again, which is required for the percentage of for the purpose of passing a resolution of liquidation. And there is another percentage which is called 90%, 90. If somebody, if the COC wants that CIRP proceeding should be withdrawn, there could be many reasons that once the CRP proceeding have been admitted, later on in future it can be withdrawn because all the payments of the creditors have been made or there is a settlement with all the creditors. Then obviously creditors are satisfied. So there is no point in continuing with the CIRP proceeding. In that situation, the CIRP proceeding, which is a legal proceeding, can be withdrawn under Section 12A of the IBC. Here, 90% voting share of the COC is required. So we have four categories of resolution: 50%, which are generally applicable to the normal agendas, 66%, 75%, and 90%. Right. Now, what does then IRP is now appointed as RP? Somebody, either the IRP continues as RP or somebody else is coming as an RP. Now, this RP, what does he do now? He will appoint valuers to value the entire assets of the company. Assets of the company, not the liabilities. He will value the entire assets of the company. Now, he will appoint two valuers. And if suppose, ultimately the valuers will be submitting their report. And if there is a drastic deviation between these two valuation reports, then he will take an average. But if there is a very major significant deviation between these two reports, probably he can refer the valuation to a third valuer as well. Now, what is that material variation? It is nothing specified anywhere, but we generally take it more than 10%. Right. What is the purpose of valuation? Purpose of valuation is to know that as on today, as on the date of CIRP, commencement of CIRP, this is the valuation of the company. So whenever somebody, somebody will be coming to buy the company later on, I will come to that within a short while. Then, that's a yardstick. This is the valuation of the company. There are two types of valuation which a valuer is required to give. One is the enterprise value or the fair value, which is called, and another is liquidation value. We all know, since we are students of chartered accountancy, we all know what is a liquidation value and what is a fair value. Fair value means fair value or an enterprise value is the value in a going concern basis, right? The company is, entity is a going concern, and in the going concern, what is the valuation? That is one way of arriving at a valuation. If the entity is treated as under liquidation, there is no more going concern, no more operations of the company, then the liquidation value of the company is also arrived at, which is drastically below or lower than the fair value. Now, these two valuations are to be arrived at. Now, what is the next stage with the CIRP process? In the CIRP process, we have understood that first there is formation of COC based on the claims received. Then the valuers are appointed, and the aim is to find out the valuation of the company. Now, the third is the resolution profession. Now, I will not use the word IRP. I will use the word RP because RP has been appointed. Now, the RP will now try to prepare information memorandum. For all these events, there is a timeline given that by this time you have to complete this task, by this time you have to complete this task, by this time you have to complete the third task, and everything. These timelines are given in the regulation. Now, friends, let me tell you what is the regulation. We have the IBC code. Then, along with the code, we have the rules and we have the regulations. Like in the Income Tax Act, we have the Income Tax Act and we have the income tax rules, but we do not have any income tax regulations. But in Companies Act, we have the Companies Act, we have the different rules and regulations. So in FERA also and in FEMA also, we have different regulations for different things. Here also in the IBC, we have the act which is called code, IBC code 2016, and then we have the rules and then we have the regulations. Who frames the rules? The code is framed by the parliament. Who frames the rules? Rules are framed by the central government. Then who frames the regulation? Regulations are framed by IBBI, which is the regulator of the company. Now friends, let me first complete the CIRP, then I will come to the entire ecosystem of insolvency. Now, after this valuation process is going on, in the meantime, it is the duty of the RP to prepare an information memorandum. Information memorandum is a very vital part of the entire CIRP process. This information memorandum will contain all the details of the company, all the litigations of the company, the details of the contingent liability of the company, the detail of all the financial assets and the liabilities of the company of the last 2 years, whether audited or unaudited, and as on the date of CIRP also. It will also contain the detail of shareholding and any other material information which are relevant for the company are contained in the information memorandum. The purpose of preparing this information memorandum is to enable a prospective buyer to know what is there in the company and what should be his tentative value to buy this company, so that he can frame his mind that I want to buy this company for rupees X, right? So this is the purpose of information memorandum. After this information memorandum is prepared, now this information memorandum will be shared by COC after obtaining the letter of confidentiality from them, right? Now, after this information memorandum is prepared, now the process of finding the buyers of the company will start. Now, process of finding the buyers is that you invite, there is a form number G, you make a public announcement in form number G that anybody interested, you invite expression of interest. Form G is nothing but inviting an expression of interest. And therein you put in certain conditions, that these are the minimum conditions, these are the which one has to comply with. And if he satisfies all these conditions, then he can apply for EOI. Then suppose somebody applies for the EOI. I mean, there can be more than one person, there can be one person, and there can be no person. Nobody is interested in buying the company. Nobody has shown any interest in EOI by way of EOI. It could be any situation, whatever. Now, the point is, suppose somebody has shown an interest in the EOI. After this EOI, now the RP will examine whether the EOIs are in order or not. And RP will also examine in the IBC code. There is section 29A, which is again very vital section in IBC code. 29A, basic spirit of 29A goes with the basic spirit of IBC. I mean, the purpose is, we all know that who has contributed to this state of the company. Company has become insolvent. Why? Because the existing management have contributed to this default. Existing directors, existing promoters, those who have contributed to the default, those who have contributed to the insolvency of the company, now they cannot be allowed to buy the company at a reduced price by virtue of this insolvency process. They are debarred. They are debarred by virtue of section 29A of IBC, right? So any promoter, any existing promoter of the company or their relative. Is a very, very wide definition. I'm not going into the detail. Existing promoters of the company, their relatives, their business connect cannot buy this company. They cannot participate in EOI, right? Now the RP will examine whether the EOI, whether the section 29A, I mean, nobody is there who is covered in 29A. And then after that, he will then issue the final process, that he will issue the evaluation matrix, and then he will also issue that an invitation that please, I mean, he will select the successful resolution. I mean, I will select among them that whoever will satisfy the conditions given in evaluation matrix will file a resolution plan. What is an evaluation matrix? Evaluation matrix is a matrix on basically divided into two parts: qualitative criteria and quantitative criteria. The qualitative criteria is, I mean, whether the person who is bidding or is participating in EOI, whether he has the experience of the similar line of business. And I mean, like this, these are the qualitative criteria for which percentages are given. And there are quantitative criteria. I mean, who is paying upfront how much? If somebody is paying more money by way of upfront, then he gets more weightage. So there can be like this several criteria based on the quantitative criteria, and there are several qualitative criteria. On based on this evaluation matrix, all these bidders, all these, I mean, person who have participated will be evaluated, right? I mean, now another term which is used here is RFRP, request for resolution application, RFRP. Now the resolution professional will invite that, okay, you are certain number of persons who are complying with the conditions of all the IBC. Now you can go ahead and please file the RFRP. This is the evaluation matrix, and and as per the RFRP, please file your resolution plan. What is a resolution plan? Resolution plan will be submitted by the prospective bidders or the prospective resolution applicants, right? That they want to buy the company at this price. They will pay lenders X amount of money after so much of haircut. They will pay operational cadres, I mean, whatever X percentage after so much of haircut. They will, change the technology of the production of the company. I mean, they will probably use a new technology. Therein, they will invest a certain amount of money, and like that. I mean, it's a complete resolution plan, right? Now, those resolution plans will again have to be approved by COC. I told you the requisite percentage here is 66%, right? Now, if the COC approves, there are suppose 3 resolution plans which have come to the COC. Now COC will approve that out of these 3, which one is the best. They will apply the evaluation matrix and then find out which one is the best. And they will apply their commercial wisdom, right? And they will finally take a decision that out of A, B, C, only A is the best, and they pass this in the COC meeting with 66% majority vote. Now the RP will issue a letter of intent to that Mr. A, who is a successful resolution applicant, that okay, your resolution plan have been approved by the COC. Now please you furnish certain performance bank guarantee, and then he will submit performance bank guarantee. And in the meantime, this resolution plan will be submitted to the adjudicating authority for their final approval. Adjudicating authority will examine that okay, this resolution plan is in accordance with the law. It is not violating any other law of the country. It is fair and equitable. It is fair and equitable. Mark the word. It is fair and equitable. If more or less these conditions are satisfied, then the adjudicating authority will put its seal on the resolution plan. The moment it's put its seal on the resolution plan, then Mr. A will implement his resolution plan. Mr. A. Then the moment the resolution plan is approved by the NCLT, which is adjudicating authority, CIRP process comes to an end. CIRP process comes to an end again. And after the CIRP process, now there is no more IRP, there is no more RP, and the entire thing goes into the hands of the successful resolution applicant, and that resolution applicant will now monitor all his covenants which have been mentioned in the resolution plan. Now, who will monitor whether he is implementing whatever he has promised? For that, during the CIRP period, or when the court will be approving the CIR, when the adjudicating authority will be approving the resolution plan, they will simultaneously will also be approving a monitoring agency. In the resolution plan, there is a section which is called who will be the monitoring agency. That monitoring agency will be supervising the implementation of the resolution plan by the successful resolution applicant. If in future somebody files a complaint with the adjudicating authority that resolution plan is not being implemented and there is a violation and he is aggrieved, then he can approach the NCLT. Then in that situation, NCLT can approach and then can declare the liquidation of the company also. So this is a very, very vital thing, that whatever you have promised through the covenants in the resolution plan, you must you must adhere to those terms and conditions 100%. Now this is all about CIRP. Now, if friends, suppose there is no resolution to the company, what will happen? Let me tell you in a nutshell. If there is a no resolution which have been found out in this period of 180 days plus 90 days, if any, total of 270 days, if no resolution have been found out, then what will happen? The company will automatically go into liquidation. Nobody will have to apply for liquidation. CIRP fails, liquidation starts. It's an automatic trigger. Nobody can stop it. And the company goes into liquidation. The purpose of liquidation is that the liquidation state will be formed, and now therein the liquidator will be appointed. Who is the liquidator? Liquidator is among those insolvency professionals who are qualified and who are licensed by IBDI. Right? Liquidator will try to ascertain again in the liquidation process also. Once the liquidation process starts, again he will invite all the claims of the company against the company as on the date of commencement of liquidation, right? And based on that, those claims, he will prepare a list of the creditors, and what he will do in the meantime, he will prepare the complete detail of the liquidation state of the company. Then he will try to dispose of those assets, try to realize the money, and whatever money is realized, then he will distribute those money to the creditors of the company who have filed their claims. Right? Now, let me tell you how the money will be distributed. Now, the earlier we all know that in the Income Tax Act or in the VAT Act or in the Service Tax era, the government dues were all having priority. Now, under by virtue of this IBC code, now the government dues are standing much, much below. I tell you, there are ladders, top ladder. We call it ladder one. Then there is ladder two, ladder three, ladder four, ladder five. Like that, there are so many ladders. The government dues appears in ladder five. This process of ascertaining the ladder is called waterfall mechanism, right? Water flows from the top. So first, whatever money is realized, suppose by selling all the assets of the company, 1,000 rupees are realized, right? Now, how that 1,000 rupees will be distributed? Suppose, first, the amount will go towards the satisfaction of CIRP cost or liquidation cost. So if suppose 100 rupees are there which have been incurred during the CIRP for the professional fees and other things, so CIRP cost, liquidation cost, that first will be satisfied. So 100 rupees gone, that is the first priority, first ladder. So 90 rupees is remaining, 900 rupees are remaining. Now, after that, secured financial creditor will be paid first along with the wages of last 1 year. Along with the wages of last 1 year. So secured financial creditor along with the wages of last 1 year will are coming into the second ladder. Now suppose both of them together are 1,000, more than 1,000 rupees. How much money we are left with? We are left with only 900 rupees. Total money realized was 1,100 have been given for the satisfaction of the CIRP and the liquidation cost. We are left with only 900 rupees. And whereas the claim of the secured financial creditors along with the 1 year wages due is 1,100 rupees. So the money will be divided pro rata in this category of second ladder, right? Now, what will happen to the person who are standing in the third ladder or fourth ladder, and the fifth ladder? So, there is no money left even in the second ladder. Second ladder are not getting full money. If suppose the second ladder, the total amount of the due was only say 700 rupees, and you have the money left is 900 rupees, then 700 will be fully paid off to the second ladder, and the remaining amount of rupees 200 will fall to the third ladder. So whoever is standing in the third ladder, fourth ladder, fifth ladder, I mean, like that, money will be distributed. This is a waterfall mechanism. Water flows from the top. This is the way of distributing. Now, friends, let me tell you in a very nutshell, in 2 minutes, what is the total ecosystem of this IBC. IBC, there is a, like in SEBI, for a capital market, we have a regulator which is called SEBI. In a financial market, we have a regulator which is called RBI. In IBC, we have a regulator, similar regulator with similar powers, which is called IBBI, Insolvency Bankruptcy Board of India. Right. Now, IBBI is the, I mean, is the main center, main nucleus. Now, who are the other ingredients of insolvency ecosystem? The other ingredients are COC. I told you already, you all are aware of what is COC. Other ingredient is the insolvency professional in the capacity of a IRP or a RP or a liquidator. That also you have understood. Another category is IPA and IU. IU means information utility and IPA means insolvency professional agency. Now, who can become an insolvency professional? For becoming an insolvency professional, I mean, you have to pass an examination, number one. If you qualify for that, I mean, if you qualify in that examination, which is conducted online, if you qualify in that examination, then you have to undergo a mandatory training of 50 hours. After you have gone in for the mandatory training of 50 hours, then you can become, you have to first become a member of any IPA. IPA is called Insolvency Professional Agency. You have to become a member, or you have to apply for the membership, then you become a member of an IPA. Currently, there are only 3 IPAs in the country. One which have been floated by the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, another by the Institute of Company Secretary, and the third by the Institute of Cost Accountant. If I am a chartered accountant, if I want to become a member of IPA which is floated by a company secretary, yes, I can become a member of even that IPA also. But I have my gratitude to my institute, so I have become a member. I've opted to become a member of my IPA which is floated by the ICI. So you have to become first a member of the IPA, and then you have to apply to IBBI. Well, I have passed the examination, I am qualified, and I become a member of the IPA. This is my membership number. Now, please give me the license to operate as a, so that I can operate as a insolvency professional. Then IBBI grants you a license. Then you are registered with IBC, means you are granted a license. And then what is the net conclusion? Net conclusion that insolvency professional is monitored, all his actions are monitored by 2 bodies. One is IBBI, who is the ultimate regulator, and one is by IPA, of which he is a member. So both of them have the disciplinary committee. Both of them will be watching him, what he is doing, whether he is working in accordance with the law or not. In CA, we are only watched by whom? By the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. There is only one disciplinary committee. But in the profession of IP, you will be governed. मैं इसको बंगाली में बोलता हूँ, I call it in Bengali that for every IP there are 2 বাবা, আমাদের দুটো বাবা হয়, দুটো বাবা, একটা বাবা হচ্ছে IBBI and একটা বাবা হচ্ছে IPA, right? So we have to take care that two fathers are watching us. Big fathers are watching us. So nothing can go. Nothing can go away from their eyes. So this is all about CIRP and the liquidation. In a nutshell, only 1 minute I will take, because the time I've already suited. It's a 1 hour program. I will take 1 or 2 minutes. Now, friends, this is what I have discussed for the corporate person. What about the individual person, right? As far as the individual, entire IBC code have been divided into 5 chapters. Chapter 1 is general definition and all these things. And let me tell you, the IBC code is now also applicable to, a certain portion of the IBC code was earlier not applicable to the state of Jammu and Kashmir. Now from 18th of March 2019, even 2020, 18th of March 2020, even those portions of IBC which were not applicable to Jammu and Kashmir are also applicable to Jammu and Kashmir. Right. Now friends, part 2 is applicable to the corporate person. Part 3 is applicable to the insolvency of the individuals and the partnership firms. Right. Now, let me tell you in a very, very nutshell that part 3 is implemented, is in force only in a very, very limited way. What is that limited way? That part 3, which concerns about the individual bankruptcy, now applies only to those individuals who have given their personal guarantee to a corporate debtor. So it is not applicable to all individuals. It is not applicable to partnership firm. Currently, currently it is applicable only to those individuals who have given their personal guarantees for any of the financial debt, any of the debts of the corporate debtor, right? And they will be governed. Their process will be something different than what we have discussed in CIRP. Their process is contained in part 3 of the IBC, right? So in part 3 of the IBC, now only there are many differences. Only 2-3 differences I would like to highlight. That in CIRP, we have the committee of creditors. In individual bankruptcy, here we have a meeting MOC, which is called meeting of creditors. We do not call COC here. It is called MOC. Now in COC, in the CIRP, there are who are the members of it? Only financial creditors. But here, in case of individual, which is a personal guarantor only currently, here the member of the MOC can be anyone. Member of MOC will be all creditors of the company, all creditors of that individual, right? So I mean, there are so many other differences. The time does not permit me to go into the detail. One more thing, that in CIRP, I have already told you that if the CIRP fails, liquidation is automatically triggered. But in individual bankruptcy, which is currently applicable only to the personal guarantors, to the corporate debtor, the if the insolvency process fails, if the insolvency process fails, then there is no automatic trigger for bankruptcy. This is a very, very vital difference. There is no automatic trigger for bankruptcy. The lender or the debtor, I mean the debtor or the creditor, will have to file a separate application for the bankruptcy that they want to avail the bankruptcy, right? In CIRP, after this liquidation proceedings are distributed and liquidation proceedings are complete, then the company is dissolved. Company or the LLP is dissolved. What happens in individual? Individual insolvency fails, application for the bankruptcy is made, then bankruptcy proceeding, same thing, the bankruptcy state is determined, and then these are distributed. And after these are distributed, what happens? Company dies by way of dissolution, but the individual cannot die. So here what happens? The individual gets a discharge order from the court, which is the court here, NCLT. And that discharge order, that discharge order will, what does it say? That from today, Mr. A, who is the insolvent and into bankruptcy, is discharged from all the debts which are mentioned herein. And now he can live a life like any normal resident of the country, any normal citizen of this country. He is discharged from all the obligations. He is discharged from all the stigmas. Now he is just like you and me, right? So this is the basic concept. Till he is issued a discharge order, he is called undischarged insolvent, right? And undischarged insolvent, I mean, the point is that undischarged insolvent cannot become there are several restrictions on his lifestyle. He cannot become a director of the company. He cannot freely travel outside India. There are a lot of restrictions which are put on a undischarged insolvent. So friends, I think this in nutshell, I mean, I have given you an overview how this entire IBC works, the ecosystem of the IBC, and there are many landmark judgments which have come. Any student of IBC, I will request that this is a new career opportunity for we chartered accountants. If you are a student, keep in mind that after you become a chartered accountant, you can opt for this stream of this new line. Even the qualified chartered accountants can also think of that this is a new line of business and which will be a new weapon. I mean, new thing which they can utilize, and very, very challenging line, very important professional line. You get a lot of respect in the market, right? So friends, with this, I thank entire SK Agarwal and company, Vivek, Hemant, and Sandeep ji, who is my brother-in-law, for giving me this wonderful opportunity to utilize this lockdown period. And thank you very much. Hope this session has been useful to all of you. Thank you. Over to Vivek.
Thanks a lot, Modi ji. Just to, as we were discussing about IBC, first of all, it is there in the CA final syllabus of the students, and I think 20 or around qualified also there in the team right now. And we have been doing these sessions for past 20 days. We have around 6 sessions of company Act. Yesterday, Mohan Goenka ji was also there in our company Act session. And today evening, we have Anil Dubey we are again a regional council member of CS Institute. Prior to that, we had 2 days of review almost. तो हम लोगों ने क्या किया, जीएसटी का पूरा कोर्स करा दिया है अपने स्टूडेंट्स को, अपने क्वालिफाइड्स को. फिर अपने इनकम टैक्स का डेली सेशन हो रहा है, एंड उसके बाद हम लोगों ने कंपनीज एक्ट का किया है, इनकम टैक्स का हुआ है, जीएसटी का हुआ है, बीच में एक्सेल का हुआ, वैल्यूएशन का हुआ. इस तरह से वी आर ट्राइंग टू अपलिफ्ट द नॉलेज ऑफ द टीम so that when they become chartered accountants, they become a better student and they come out with bright colors.
Absolutely, that's a very, very laudable objective of this SK Agarwal and Company, which is a very, very, it's a leading firm, is leading firm in the CA fraternity, and I really appreciate your move.
So thanks a lot, Modi ji, for joining us. If anyone has any question, I'll just see in the chat box. Can a corporate debtor file IBC application for recovery against his debtor?
Yes, section 11. Can a corporate debtor who is under CIRP or not under CIRP?
Which is under CIRP.
Yeah, if a corporate debtor is under CIRP, then by virtue of this recent amendments, which I call the fourth amendment, which was by virtue of an ordinance dated 28th of December 2019, right? So therein they have been enabled under section 11 of the IBC that a corporate debtor who is under CIRP can file a counter CRP for his receivables against another company. I mean, if he is to receive any money from any company, he can file under section. Earlier there were confusion, we have the conflicting judgments. Now the law has been amended and it has been made very clear that corporate debtor under CRP can prefer an application for CRP for his receivables.
Thank you, sir. Next question is why voting of operational creditor are not considered in the meeting of COC?
It's not a question of considering the voting. I mean, they are not part of COC. They do not attend COC meeting. They are not authorized to attend. They are not member of the COC. So, I mean, whatever decisions are taken, these decisions or discussions are taken only between the financial creditors who are part of the COC, right? So, operational creditors are only at the mercy of the COC. That is why the COC, which is constituted of financial creditors, that is why it is often called that the financial creditors are the custodians or the trustees of the operational creditors, because they have to look for the interest. I mean, they cannot simply look for their own interest only. They have to look for the interest of the operational creditors as well.
Thank you, sir. If financial creditor is related party of corporate debtor, he shall have any right of representing or voting in COC?
No, not at all. I mean, since it was only a broader view which I was giving, there are many, many nuances if you go delve deep into each topic, right? So the time does not permit me, but then it's a very good question. I mean, whoever has raised this question is a very intelligent person, and I think he has a certain knowledge of the IBC. The related financial creditors who are related party, they cannot become part of COC. They are not members of the COC. As the operational creditors are not members of the COC, similarly, related parties are also not members of, even if they are financial creditors, they are not member of COC.
How can a valuer safeguard himself with respect to interim books of accounts? Can IP give him a representation with respect to books of accounts?
No. The fact is,
what steps IP can take to realize the fair value of the asset?
No. The point is, as far as the valuation is concerned, that has to be conducted now by the registered valuer. Now, a registered valuer is a new species again. I mean, we all know that is again a new line of opportunity for all the chartered accountants. So a lot of new lines are developing. So now it is the job of a registered valuer to value the assets of the company. Now, if suppose the books of accounts are not audited, the complete set of information are not available, only the incomplete accounts are available. The point here is whatever is available, that will be furnished by the resolution professional to the valuer. Well, Baba, I have only this information. Now you go and visit each and every site, count each and every physical assets of the company physically, and then give me the report. It is his duty to physically verify all the assets of the company and then give the valuation report. So even if the accounts are not available, the details are not available, whatever is available, based on that, he has to form his opinion and give his valuation report. So, and whatever his report is, since the IP resolution professional is obtaining 2 reports from the two valuers, so he can always get at least some sense of the real value of the company.
Next question is,
Modi,
can a resolution applicant?
Vivek, I had a query in this. Can I?
बोलो हेमंत.
Modi ji, एक query था. I had a query. Suppose if I am doing a valuation of a financial asset and I have limited information about the receivables, and you know there is no such information being provided to me by resolution professional also. So how do I value the receivables?
No, you have to be very conservative. Again, let me tell you, you have to be very if you do not have sound evidences. I mean,
Right.
to really crystallize a figure at say X figure, whatever it is. How can you take a figure? I mean, I'm not a valuation expert. Let me not. I don't know. I mean, those who have done this valuation course, they must have been taught. I mean, what should be a call which is to be taken in such a scenario. But my general sense is that I mean. Particularly for these type of receivables, obviously no value should be taken, which are really contingent. You don't have any sound evidence. You cannot really, you can rather qualify. I mean, you can say that apart from that, these figures have also been mentioned by virtue of these documents, but these are not authentic, and I have not been given any confirmed evidence about it. So I mean, you can give this thing. I mean, you can take some valuation, 10%. You can take zero valuation, whatever. I mean, but whatever practically I have seen in my many assignments which I have handled, and I've seen many valuation reports. There, in these cases, they take zero value for these receivables.
Also, can valuer ask for a representation from the RP?
No. RP can never give any representation letter. It's not audit that you will get a written representation from the management. RP will never give any representation. RP simply give whatever information I have given. This is the information. That's all. That's all. Nothing else. Whatever is given, you cannot take any
Thank you, Modi ji.
and nobody.
Modi ji,
Thank you. Great. Thank you, sir.
Modi ji, one more thing. From outside, the practice of IP looks to be very glorified, but the day-to-day running of a project or running of a multiple companies which are big in size, how difficult or how easy it is?
No, friends, let me tell you, I mean, Vivek is a very nice question. I mean, all the questions are really very good and very interesting. This again, let me tell you my own example. Currently, I'm handling 2 assignments, and one is almost at the fag, and I'm handling 3 assignments now. Now, all the 3 assignments, one is all on the verge of complete, so let me concentrate only on 2. Now, all the 2 assignments are very big. Now, one assignment, I mean, for which the work is a contractor, it's a big contractor in the engineering line, and there this project is going on at least in 4 places in India, and then they have their own manufacturing unit also, and they have a maintenance division also. I mean, so there are 3 divisions, right? I'm handling it. What happens? You need not be everywhere. The existing show will continue to be run by the existing employees, the directors. You simply take a MIS. Now you are in charge. You are the boss of the company. You are the CEO of the company, right? You take the MIS. You control. You put your persons at different vital positions. I can put Vivek Agarwal, okay, SK Agarwal in company. Please, SK Agarwal in company. Please take care of this particular division. I can do. I have done it. Similarly, I am also handling 14 tea gardens of Duncan Group. I have been appointed CI. I'm continuing with the CIRP of Duncan Group. There are 14 tea gardens. As a single person, I cannot go. I cannot be present in all the 14 tea gardens. How do I go? I do not have any expertise in tea garden. I mean, let me tell you. I mean, though I have some because of certain your clients only, but still I am not that expert. Right? Some gardens are in Darjeeling, some gardens are in other places, and I mean, so a lot of things. So what I have done, I have allowed them to work as it is. I mean, whatever they were doing, but they have to report me everywhere. I have designed my MIS. My MIS is obviously their past MIS with suitable modification. Everything comes to me. Even the director is supposed to give me answers. I mean, when I ask him. So even the Goenkaji, I mean, couple of times I've written an email, and he has been very nice and very kind enough to cooperate with me and in giving all me the replies. So this is how it's a very challenging task. It looks very lucrative. Fees are very good. Challenging task, but then often, I mean, very the duty, I mean, comes along with it is a very strict duty. I mean, you have to be very pious, very sincere, very honest in your approach. I mean, 1 month before only there was a news item that one insolvency professional from Jharkhand was arrested because he was accepting some bribe. So again, we have to keep the prestige of this profession very high. It is upon us, it is upon all of us that we do not indulge in these dirty activities. So this is all. I mean, but again, it is a very challenging line, and without challenge, there is no reward. Let me tell you, friends, it is more rewarding than even the audit profession. I can tell you 100%. So friends, focus on this assignment. Even the valuation is very again lucrative area. So focus on these newer areas which are emerging.
Modi ji, last question. What will be the future of IBC code in wake of this COVID-19? Because extension on extension is coming and knocking on the door by the government. So what do you think will be future in next 2 or 3 years of this IBC code? Because most of the company will fail again, and how people will handle this?
Yeah, let me tell you. I mean, why the? I mean, this is an extraordinary situation. COVID-19 is not a normal situation, right? Now, because of this situation, many, I mean, erstwhile, I mean, the companies which are running in a very good condition probably fall into the trap of insolvency. Many new companies. Otherwise, their intentions were not bad. They were running very smoothly and very, I mean, happy sort of thing. So the government have been very proactive, and the government across all jurisdictions, not only in India, even in Singapore, even in UK, everywhere, wherever these insolvency laws are there, they have been very proactive. And what has been done in India, that earlier for filing a bankruptcy, for filing an insolvency application against a company, the threshold limit was rupees 1 lakh. Now that has been increased to rupees 1 crore. So if your debt amount is less than rupees 1 crore, you cannot now resort to the IBC proceedings. But this is the one measure which the government has taken. Another measure which the government is very shortly going to announce, I mean, by virtue of an ordinance within probably 2-3 days, right? That is that they are suspending IBC trigger. The trigger is from section 9, section 7, and section 10. There are 3 sections which are the trigger point. Now, all these 3 sections will be temporarily suspended for 6 months, but not more than a year. Purpose is what? Purpose is there will be thousands and thousands of cases which will be now coming up, which otherwise would not have come had there have been no situation of a lockdown. So purpose is that, okay, if because of the lockdown, such compelling situations are arising, let those companies not become victim of IBC, right? And another intention is that the pressure on the court, the NCLT and the NCLT particularly, who are handling these matters, I mean, their workload will increase, I mean, multi times. Probably they will not be able to handle. So the point is that their workload is also reduced. The innocent or the genuine persons or entities are not suffered because of the insolvency blow. So these are welcome move, and I think more such measures will also come during the due course of time. Even I tell you, I mean, I told you in my lecture that promoters are debarred from bidding for the company. Probably, I'm not seen the final draft. Probably when this ordinance will come in a day or two, probably the promoters will be allowed, at least for an interim period. I mean, till there is a suspension, promoters might be allowed temporarily, I mean, till there is a further order to bid for the company. Because now the outsiders will not come. Outsiders will be very reluctant to buy the company. I mean, that again is a realization on the part of the ministry. I mean, but again, there is a different scenario that the Chinese companies are ready to buy any company in India. I mean, all big companies or even across the world. So that's again a different story. So there are plus and minuses. I mean, okay, somebody is saying that by increasing this limit from 1 lakh to 1 crore, they are depriving the MSMEs from filing the suit. Yeah, MSMEs, the small and medium corporate houses, to file the cases against the big one, right? So again, MSME can be a debtor as well as a creditor. If you are a creditor, then it is not in favor of you. But if you are a debtor, then obviously it is in favor of you. The government has to do a balancing act. And it is in the interest that in the COVID-19 situation, in the lockdown situations, the litigation should be reduced as much as possible. This is my take on the point.
Yeah, last question, one more, Modi ji. Don't you think IBC is also being used by some promoters for restructuring their debt? Because there is a you can say promoters cannot bid right now, but there is no law that after 5 years or 10 years the company cannot come back to the promoters. The unwinding cannot happen. And some of the
that is okay, but that yet to be seen, you know, because the IBC is
तो
only in
गेहूं
3
के
years.
साथ में थोड़ा बहुत धुन पिसेगा
वो होगा, वो तो वो होगा। अरे
ठीक है। उसका
अरे
कोई
मैंने मेरी एक केस के अंदर में जिसने कंपनी को खरीदी, मैं लेट मी टेल यू, आई मीन आउट ऑफ द वे, आई मीन नॉट टू बी कोटेड, नॉट टू बी रिकॉर्डेड।
One second.